My car's GPS started giving directions to places I'd never been, but somehow recognized perfectly. Why do I know this road? I was driving to my cousin's wedding in a town I'd never visited when my GPS suddenly recalculated and started giving completely different directions. Instead of staying on the highway, it told me to take exit 47 toward Riverside Drive, which wasn't even on my original route. Something about that exit name made my chest tighten with a feeling I couldn't explain. As I followed the new directions, every turn felt familiar in a way that made no sense, like I was remembering a dream or following a path my hands knew, but my mind didn't. The GPS led me through a residential neighborhood where every street corner triggered deja vu so strong it made me dizzy. Turn left on Maple Street, it announced, and I found myself already slowing down before the instruction finished. I'd never been to this town before today, but my body was reacting like I was coming home after a long trip. The strangest part was how perfectly I knew what was coming next. There would be a red mailbox on the corner, followed by a house with blue shutters, then a small park with a broken swing set, and there they were, exactly as I'd somehow expected. When the GPS directed me to turn into the driveway of a modest two-story house, I sat staring at a building that should have been foreign, but felt more familiar than my own apartment. The white picket fence, the rose bushes by the front porch, even the crack in the driveway. I knew all of it with a certainty that made my hands shake. A woman in her 60s emerged from the front door, and when she saw me, her face went completely white. She approached slowly, tears forming in her eyes, and tapped on my window with trembling fingers. "Danny?" she whispered through the glass. "Is that really you?" "My name's Michael," I said carefully, but she was shaking her head before I finished speaking. "No, sweetheart, you're Daniel Parker. You lived here until you were 8 years old." She pulled out her phone and showed me a picture that made my world tilt sideways. A young boy who looked exactly like me at that age, standing in this same driveway. "This was your bedroom window," she said, pointing to the second floor. "You used to climb down that oak tree when you had nightmares and wanted to sleep in our bed." Linda Parker explained that I was her son, who'd been taken by my father during a bitter custody battle 25 years ago. She'd been searching for me ever since, never knowing that I'd been living 3 states away under the name Michael Stevens. My father had changed our identities completely and told me my mother had died in a car accident when I was too young to remember clearly. Linda showed me legal documents, court records, and dozens of photos proving that Daniel Parker, me, had been legally kidnapped by a father who couldn't accept losing custody. As Linda walked me through the house, memories flooded back in waves that made me dizzy. I remembered the squeaky third step on the staircase, the way afternoon light came through the kitchen window, and the hiding spot behind the water heater where I used to keep my favorite toys. "Your GPS brought you home," Linda said through tears, as we stood in what had been my childhood bedroom, preserved exactly as I'd left it decades ago. "The route your car took was the same path we used to walk to get ice cream every Sunday after church." The GPS malfunction wasn't actually a malfunction. It was programmed with my childhood home address, something my father must have accidentally left in the system during one of his paranoid moments of checking if anyone was still looking for us. My father had been living under a false identity for 25 years, constantly moving and warning me about dangerous people who wanted to hurt our family. Those dangerous people were the police trying to return a kidnapped child to his real mother. Linda had never stopped hoping I'd return, and through a combination of technology and fate, her son had finally found his way back to the house where his real life had begun.